The head of the Financial Services Authority, Lord Adair Turner, says trust in banks and bankers has eroded. He says people are angry and they feel they were sold a story about the benefits of increasing financial activity, which turned out to be untrue. Lord Turner made the statements at Bloomberg News event, where he said we need strong management commitment to better culture and better values. Well, Lord Turner says three main factors have led to the collapse of trust in the banks and the banking system. Well, Chris Roebuck is a visiting professor at the Cass Business School and joins me now. Chris, what do you make of what Lord Turner had to say today?
I think he was absolutely right, because what he is saying is that actually what's happened is over the last 20 to 30 years, the world of banking has transformed. We've moved from effectively smaller British banks to organisations that are truly global. And that doesn't just apply to banking, it applies to everybody. You know, how many people who are listening today know that Hong Kong is the place where HSBC is the biggest bank? In Hong Kong, people have HSBC money actually in their pockets. So what we have to do is we have to recognise that the world has changed. As a result of that, this big banking system now doesn't really pay that much attention to what any individual country wants. And it's got much more remote from the customers that it used to serve. And as a result of that, these things have happened.
I mean, one interesting thing we heard from Lord Turner today was the fact that he's started questioning free bank accounts, hasn't he? He talked today about free current accounts discouraging competition amongst banks and causing problems like, for example, he cites the PPI insurance mis-selling scandal.
Yep, that's certainly true. If you look across the world, we are one of the few nations that actually has free banking if you have a current account. Other places, you get charged for it. And as we know, to some degree, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So the banks will be making money some way to make profit. If they're not doing it through charging us for our current accounts, they make it through other products. The problem is that when you start getting engaged in those sort of sales, people are being commission driven and therefore they really want to make the sale. That was one of the key reasons why the financial crisis started in America in the first place, because people were trying to sell mortgages to people who couldn't afford them because they were only paid on commission. So the elements of leadership in our banks are critical, and the elements of how people are paid are critical, because they need to be paid to behave right, not to behave wrong.
He also talked about the dealing room culture of cynical greed. That, of course, has all come out since the LIBOR rate-setting scandal. How difficult is it for the Financial Services Authority to deal with that type of greed? Because you can't regulate greed, can you?
Absolutely not. And this is one of the things that worries me about some of the responses. People keep calling for regulation. You cannot regulate people into behaving well. Yes, you can say if you go over the line, you go to prison, but you cannot regulate them to want to give great service to the customer. The problem is this is about leadership. This is about leadership from politicians who should stop point scoring in a schoolboy-like way and focus on the real issues. This is about leadership from the people at the top of the banking industry, and this is about leadership from those who are in the regulatory system to say we need to make sure that everybody in our banks, and let's remember it was only a very, very few people who behaved badly, are absolutely clear on what is right and what is wrong. Our leaders show the example and our people are paid to behave right. This isn't just a British problem either. If we look at the drug laundering and all the other problems that face banks, this happens across the world. It's a core problem about how organisations that become global continue to give good, honest, ethical service to customers who seem to be more remote.
OK, Chris Roebuck, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.